What if the story of early Christianity, as it's commonly told, is missing entire chapters? Vital, explosive chapters deliberately torn out, buried in desert sands for nearly 2 millennia. What if there were other gospels, other voices, other ways of understanding the divine, so radical they were branded heresy and condemned to be forgotten? In 1945, near Nag Hammadi in Egypt, a discovery was made that sent shockwaves through the worlds of theology and history. A collection of ancient texts, hidden away in a sealed jar, revealed a vibrant, complex, and profoundly different stream of early spiritual thought, Gnosticism. These weren't just minor variations. These were the secret Gospels, the forbidden knowledge that offered a radically different vision of God, creation, humanity, and salvation. A vision so challenging to the emerging Orthodox Church that its followers were persecuted, its texts burned, and its wisdom driven underground. Welcome to Veil of the Unknown. Today, we pull back the curtain on Gnosticism. What did these ancient seekers truly believe? Who was the flawed creator God they called the Demiurge? What is the divine spark hidden within each of us? And why were these Gospels texts attributed to Thomas, Mary, Magdalene, Philip, and others deemed so dangerous they had to be erased from history? Prepare to question what you thought you knew. This is not just ancient history, it's an exploration into a worldview that continues to challenge and inspire. Seekers of Gnosis, direct experiential knowledge of the divine, even today. Let's uncover the secrets. The word Gnostic comes from the Greek gnosis, gamma, nu sigma, iota sigma, meaning knowledge. But not just any knowledge, not intellectual learning from books or doctrines alone. For the Gnostics, Gnosis was a profound, intuitive, experiential knowing. It was a direct perception of divine truth, an inner enlightenment that revealed one's true spiritual nature and origin. This wasn't about blind faith or adherence to religious law as dictated by an external authority. It was about an inner awakening, a remembering of a forgotten divinity within. The Gnostics believed that humanity contained a fragment, a spark of the true, ultimate God. But this spark had become trapped in a flawed material world, ignorant of its lofty origin. Gnosis was the key to recognizing this inner spark, and through that recognition, achieving liberation from the material prison. Now, this is where Gnostic cosmology takes a radical turn from what many believe. If the true God is perfect, transcendent, and good, then who or what created this often chaotic, suffering-filled material world? The Gnostics had an answer, a lesser flawed entity they called the Demiurge, often identified with the creator God of the Old Testament by some Gnostic sects. This Demiurge was not the ultimate God. Instead, he was portrayed as an emanation, sometimes born out of error, or a fall from the higher spiritual realms, the pleroma or fullness, perhaps from an entity like Sophia or wisdom, who sought to create on her own. This Demiurge, often named Yaldabaoth, Samiel, blind god, or sackless fool, was typically seen as ignorant of the true God above him, and arrogantly believed he was the one and only true God. In his ignorance, or sometimes even malevolence, he crafted the physical universe, a realm considered by many Gnostics to be inherently flawed, a shadow, a prison designed to trap the divine sparks that had emanated from the true God. This wasn't a joyful creation story. For many Gnostics, it was a narrative of cosmic error, entrapment, and the urgent need for liberation from this material plane, not reconciliation with its creator. The texts unearthed at Nag Hammadi in 1945 blew the lid off this suppressed history. Suddenly, we had access to dozens of these secret Gospels and writings. The Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Philip, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, the Secret Book of John, the Gospel of Truth, and many more, and their contents were explosive. Many of these texts portray a Jesus radically different from the one in the canonical New Testament. Often, the emphasis wasn't on his suffering and physical resurrection as the primary means of salvation for sin. Instead, Jesus was presented as a divine revealer, a spiritual guide who came to awaken humanity to their own inner divinity and impart the secret gnosis needed for liberation from the Demiurge's world. Some texts, like the Gospel of Thomas, consist almost entirely of Jesus' sayings, potent, often enigmatic wisdom designed to provoke inner understanding rather than narrative of his life. Others, like the Gospel of Mary, elevate Mary Magdalene to a position of preeminence among the disciples, a trusted confidant who received special revelations, a stark contrast to her portrayal in Orthodox tradition. They spoke of a living Jesus, accessible through inner experience, and a path to salvation that was individual and based on enlightenment, not mediated by an organized church, hierarchy, or its sacraments. So if these teachings and texts were circulating in early Christianity, offering diverse perspectives, why did they vanish for nearly 2,000 years? Why were they branded as heresy? The answer lies in a complex power struggle for the very soul of a burgeoning religion. As early Christianity began to organize and establish a unified doctrine and institutional structure with bishops' creeds and a defined canon of scripture, Gnostic ideas posed a direct challenge. Their emphasis on individual gnosis often bypassed the need for priestly intermediaries or church authority. Their cosmology, with a flawed demiurge and a transcendent true God, clashed starkly with the monotheistic view being solidified. Their understanding of Jesus as primarily a revealer of wisdom often downplayed the centrality of his physical death and resurrection for the atonement of sin, which became a cornerstone of Orthodox belief. Influential church fathers, like Irenaeus, actively wrote against Gnostic groups, labeling them dangerous corrupters of the true faith. What began as theological debate gradually escalated, as one form of Christianity gained political ascendancy within the Roman Empire, especially after Constantine. The pressure to standardize belief intensified. Heretical texts were systematically suppressed, confiscated, and destroyed. Gnostic communities were marginalized, persecuted, and eventually faded from mainstream view. Their wisdom preserved only by those who dared to hide it, like the monks at Nag Hammadi. It was a battle for narrative, for control, and for the definition of Christianity itself. But did Gnostic ideas truly disappear? Or did they simply go underground, re-emerging in different forms throughout history? In mystical traditions, esoteric orders, and even inspiring artists, writers, and philosophers, the discovery at Nag Hammadi proved that these voices were silenced, but not entirely extinguished. Today, there's a resurgence of interest in Gnosticism. Why? Perhaps because in an age of information and disillusionment with rigid dogma, the Gnostic emphasis on direct personal experience of the divine, on inner knowing, rather than external authority, resonates deeply. The questions they asked about the nature of reality, the problem of suffering, the hidden spark within, and the journey of awakening are timeless. The Gnostic path was never about easy answers, it was about the courageous, often solitary quest for truth within oneself. So, the Gnostic Gospels, dangerous heresies, or profound alternative paths to understanding the divine and our place in the cosmos? Were they rightly suppressed to protect a unified faith, or was invaluable wisdom lost or deliberately hidden in the process? The Nag Hammadi library has given us back these forgotten voices. They challenge us, provoke us, and invite us to consider that the history of spirituality is far richer, stranger, and more diverse than we've often been led to believe. They remind us that the quest for Gnosis, for direct personal knowledge, is an enduring human impulse. What do you think? Do these ancient Gnostic ideas resonate with your own search for meaning? What secrets do you believe still lie hidden, waiting to be unveiled? Thank you for joining us on Veil of the Unknown. If this journey into lost Gospels and hidden knowledge has sparked your curiosity, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more explorations into the esoteric, the ancient, and the unexplained. Share your thoughts and questions in the comments below. Let's continue the discussion. Until next time, keep questioning everything.